All right, please add the next section to your notes, 8.7, factoring day 2. All right, so today we're going to continue the Xbox method. So what numbers are going to go on top of our X? And that would be 5 times 4 is 20. Now what number goes on the bottom? And the bottom is always the middle number, so it'll be negative 12. And so now what we want to do is we want to find what numbers multiply to 20 but add to negative 12. And so you can write all the factors of 20. So 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 3 doesn't go in, but 4 does. And then there's no reason to write 5 because I already have it here. So these are the 3 factors of 20. So since my numbers that multiply are positive and the number has to be negative to add together, that means both sets of numbers have to be negative. So now I need to see what numbers are going to add to negative 12. And so that would be negative 2 and negative 10, because negative 2 times negative 10 is positive 20, and negative 2 plus negative 10 is negative 12. So now we go to our box. So we draw a 2 by 2 box. Remember, the first number goes in the first box, so 5x squared. The last number goes in our last box, so plus 4. And then we take our answer from the x and we write it in the 2 remaining boxes, but we only want to make sure we include an x when we write it. All right, so now let's look left to right. So what do these numbers have in common? So the small number can't go in the big number. They have no common number, but they both have an x, so that means we can pull out an x. Now we look at the bottom row. Now whenever you have a negative in the first box and a positive in the second, you're going to pull out a negative. And so 4 can't go into 10, but they're both even, so that means we could take out a 2. Okay, now let's look at the columns. Okay, the small number can go into the big number, so it means we can pull out a 5. They both have an x, so it would be 5x. Again, the first number is negative, the second number is positive, so we want to pull out a negative, and then that 2 can go into 4. And so these are our factors, x minus 2 times 5x minus 2. And remember, we're solving in this step. So your quick check is x times 5x is 5x squared, and negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So we probably got it right. All right, so now we break it into 2 problems. X minus 2 equals 0. 5x minus 2 equals 0. And then we solve. Add 2. So I get x equals 2. Over here, add 2. So we get 5x equals 2. Divide both sides by 5. The fraction can't reduce. The top number is smaller, so it stays a fraction. So we get 2/5. So our answer is x equals 2 and 2/5. All right, try 1b on your own. Start by doing the x and then go on to the box. All right, so check your work, see if you came up with the same answer that I did. All right, for our next problem, take a look. What do you notice difference about this? What's different about this equation than our last 2 equations? So whenever we solve a quadratic, something with an x squared, we need it to equal 0. So this 20 is in the way. So what we do is minus 20 from both sides. And when I minus 20, notice the 20 doesn't have an x, it doesn't have an x squared, so I got to combine it with its like term, the constant negative 5. So this goes away and gives me 0 on the right. And now I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. This is the problem we're going to use to do the Xbox method. So start with your x. What number goes on top? And that'd be 2 times negative 25, which gives us negative 50. What number goes on the bottom? And that'd be negative 5. And so what I want you to do now is write out all the factors of 50. And so that's 1 times 50, 2 times 25, 3 doesn't go into 50, 4 doesn't go into 50, but 5 times 10, 6 no, 7 no, 8 no, 9 no, 10 no, but once we get, 10 yes, once we get to 10 it repeats, so these are our 3 factors of 50. And so now I have a negative, but when they add together they have to be negative, and so that means the bigger number would have to be negative. So that means the numbers on this side would be negative. And so which set of numbers would add to negative 5? And so we're going to take 5 and negative 10, because 5 times negative 10 is negative 50, and 5 plus negative 10 is negative 5. Alright, now let's do the box. What number goes on the inside? The first number, 2x squared. What number goes in the last box? The last one, negative 25. And so now we take our answer from our x. So plus 5x minus 10x. Okay, and working on the first row. 2 can't go into 5, but they both share an x, so I can take an x out. They're both negative, so I'm going to pull a negative out. 10 can't go into 25, but 5 goes into 10 and 25, so I can take a 5 out. Now let's look at the column. 2 can go into 10, and they both have an x, so I can take a factor out of 2x. The small number, 5, can go into 25, so I can take a 5 out, and only one has an x. So now we can write it as 2x plus 5 times x minus 5 equals 0. Again, always take this little quick check. 2x times x is 2x squared. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Break it into two problems. So we get 2x plus 5 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. Solve both of these. So we get x equals negative 5 halves and 5. All right, for our last problem, we're given a rectangle, and it says the base is x plus 3, the height is x minus 4, and we want to find the area so that it equals 44 centimeters squared. So remember, our area is base times height, and I'm actually going to write it this way. Base times height equals our area. And so I get x minus 4 times x plus 3, and our area is 44. So I need to multiply these out. And remember, to multiply these out, we do the box method. So go ahead and multiply these, and let's see what we get. Alright, so we end up with x squared minus x minus 12. And so we're going to put that right here. And like on the last problem, we need this to equal 0. So we just minus 44 from both sides. And so we get x squared minus x minus 56 equals 0. And now I want you to use the Xbox method on this. And so you should finish with x equals negative 7 and positive 8. But since we're talking about a rectangle, we wouldn't want to have a negative dimension. So 8 is the one that works.